Okay, good morning, everyone. We have a few subs today, so thanks for sitting in and welcome to Children and Family Law. And I'm gonna open the exec session on SB 336. Representative Nelson, do you have a motion? To pass. Do we have a second? Denise seconds. I'm sorry, not Denise. Jeepers. Representative Smith seconds. Representative Nelson did OTP. Is there any discussion?
May I ask
I'm sorry?
May I ask a question?
I can't hear you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Could people just introduce themselves? Unfortunately, I wasn't here last term and I don't know everyone that's sitting in.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Can we finish this exec session
Yes.
first since we've already started
Yes,
it?
I'm sorry.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is ought to pass the motion is ought to pass on SB 336. Is there any discussion? Would you like to speak to your motion, Representative Nelson? She doesn't think so. Anybody else? All right, then I'll have the clerk call the roll.
336?
Yeah.
On SB 336. Representative Disimone.
Yes.
Representative Yokella.
Yes.
Representative Nelson.
Yes.
Representative Belanger.
Yes.
Representative Johnson.
Yes.
Representative MacDonald.
Yes.
Representative Smith.
Yes.
Representative Long.
Yes.
Representative Alicea.
Yes.
Representative Grossman.
Yes.
Representative Levesque.
Yes.
Representative Murray.
Yes.
Representative Alchala is absent. Representative Petrino, I will be voting yes. Madam Chair Rice.
Yes.
Motion carries 14-0.
Is there any objection to consent? All right, seeing none. Consent calendar. Can you pass that to Representative Nelson? I'm in committee, so I'm going to have to talk to you when I'm done. Okay. Up next is SB 326. I'll wait for you to be ready. Just let me know when you're ready. Oh, I missed the first one. Oh, well, we'll do this one. Are you ready? All right. Okay, so, first of all, I'm going to ask the subs to please introduce themselves because not everyone here knows who everyone is. So we'll start with Representative Murray.
Hi, thank you for having me, Madam Chair. My name is Megan Murray. My home committee is Environment and Agriculture, so I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Johnson.
Representative Don Johnson from Laconia, and that's it. And I'm usually in Commerce and Commissions.
Representative McDonald.
Good morning, everyone. Wayne McDonald. I represent the town of Londonderry, and I'm usually on the Election Law Committee. I'm Vice Chairman.
Thank you. Okay. Up next, I said 326, right? Representative Yokella. Do you have a motion?
Yes, I move ITL.
Second.
Seconded by Representative Belanger. Their discussion. Would you like to speak to your motion, Representative Yokella?
I mean, from the testimony, I believe that this work can be had without the study commission, and so I don't believe that it's necessary, and so that's why I think that we should oppose the bill. Thank you.
Further discussion, Representative Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, there was all the early learning childhood centers, the kids counts, they were all in favor of this. Evidently, there's a grant that ends this year, 12/22, for the Office of Early Childhood. I got here, so I think this is a follow-up to a grant to put this bill together, or to put this idea together. I think it's a great idea. It covers people from birth to 8, which a lot of it covers birth to 5, I believe, or 6. So I thought the birth to 8 was a good cover. Birth to 5 is what childcare normally covers. So I feel it's a I feel it's a good bill, and as far as finance, let them decide whether they want to fund it or not, or how much to fund it. So I'm going to be supporting. I'm going to be opposed to that to pass. Thank you.
Representative Grossman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want to point out that this is a bipartisan issue, early childhood. And these early years are incredibly critical to development and learning. Research has shown that there's a significant return on investment for these years, and there is a cost savings there. And I can attest to being a parent of a child with special needs that those early years are so significant into capturing a disability and helping a child to get on track potentially so that they can participate in their school district. So we did see a lot of support for this, and I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Representative Belanger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just to hear from the testimony, my concern, and while it is fiscal's job, maybe not necessarily ours, and more at a policy standpoint, but the biggest issue that I had with this was that there's a fiscal note, but that they're not asking for anything. It just seemed very confusing. So for me, it was more for I'm looking for clarification, and nobody could provide that, which is why I'm supporting the motion ITL.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll have the clerk call the roll.
On SB 326, Representative Disamone,
Yes.
Representative Yokella,
Yes.
Representative Nelson,
Yes.
Representative Belanger,
Yes.
Representative Johnson,
Yes.
Representative McDonald,
Yes.
Representative Smith, Representative Long,
No.
Representative Alasea,
Yes.
Representative Grossman,
No.
Representative Levesque,
No.
Representative Murray,
No.
Representative Alasea is not here. Representative.
She's right there.
I apologize. Where are you? Oh, I apologize. I meant to say Alchula. My apologies. And Representative Petrino, I will be voting no. Madam Chair Rice?
Yes.
Okay. We have 9 voting yes and 5 voting no.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Here, let me. Do you have some over there, or do I need to give him one of these?
No, please do.
Okay. There you go, Pat. Oh, that goes to Josh. And we'll do 144 next, just so you can get. I'm sorry. I'm all discombobulated. Ready? All right. So next up is SB 144. Representative Nelson, do you have a motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I do. My motion is to ITL.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Representative Belanger. Representative Nelson, would you like to speak to your motion?
I would. Thank you. Of concern to me is the absentee policy. Based the enrollment-based billing should continue unless a child exceeds 2 weeks of consecutive absence from the program without notification to the provider regarding circumstances and agreed upon return date. I feel like this framework could allow for children to be absent several times a week and still be enrolled in the program, causing unnecessary costs to the program and possibly preventing space for another child who is in need of care. Thank you.
Further discussion? Representative Long?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a bipartisan child care scholarship. I'm not following the being absent multiple times a week and still using the reimbursement. I like the enrolled base reimbursements. That's why they have the 2 weeks. And I think this is way past its due, and I'm going to oppose the ITL. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I'll just say that I do wish that it wasn't 2 consecutive weeks, because I am very concerned that people can keep their children home twice a week and there's no repercussion. It has to be 2 full weeks. And so by keeping, they could keep them home 3 days a week and we're still paying for it. And there's no, no repercussions to that. There has to be accountability. And that's really my only issue with this, is that I'm just concerned. I'm worried about it being abused when in reality, like was said, there could be another child that would be there 5 days a week. And they're losing that spot because someone is, technically only sending their kids twice a week, but being paid for the full week. That's my issue with it. Representative Altschiller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to speak to the concern that you're having, and that's a valid concern that somehow the spot would be lost. But there is absolutely nothing in this bill that says that child care providers who very, very much want to serve their communities. I hear from 3 in my area that they have wait lists. They have absolutely incredibly long wait lists. And I think that very, very small and very small possibility of potential abuse. And it is a small possibility of potential. It's so far out there. Abuse does not weigh equally to the wait lists that exist now and the families who desperately need this service right now, and the overwhelming reason that parents are looking for quality, affordable, sustainable childcare is that they work, and they're not they are looking to have a place where their child will be cared for, and learning while they're there in a safe environment so that they can go to work. That this is childcare. This is not babysitting so that you can go out to dinner, and this is not somewhere to put your child so that you can go play tennis. These are working families who are struggling, and this particular bill has an eligibility, which is only 250% of poverty level. So this is not a play. I don't see this bill as being something that is inviting the kind of overt fraud that is being suggested.
I didn't
So
use the word fraud.
I am extrapolating from the phrase that you use, keep their kids home for 3 weeks.
I didn't say 3 weeks. I said,
You said
3
2
days.
to 3 weeks.
I said 2 to 3 days a week.
2 to 3 days a week. Okay.
And just so you see where I'm coming from is I have worked in a child care facility before, and I've seen this. I've seen it where parents will say they're bringing their kid the full week and only bring them 3 days a week, or bring them 2 days a week, right? And when we knew we had other parents out there that needed this, but we were already obligated to this spot. That's all I'm saying. I don't want people to not be able to afford childcare. I just want to make sure we have people using it that are going to use it always, rather than a 2-week span of being out consecutively before they can be booted from the program. Representative Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is a 3-month pilot program, which includes a report filed September 1st, 2022, which includes the absentee rate. So it's a 3-month pilot program. Let's look at the absentee rate is what they were asking for. So I agree that parents may do that, hold their kids. When I had my son for the week, I kept them home. So it's a pilot program. It has some absolute intent on moving forward with the scholarship program, and in 3 months you could review the absentee rate, and we could adjust it in 3 months, or actually it's DHHS could make some recommendations before they continue it, or they may say this is not working. So it's a 3-month attempt. I don't see where that could hurt.
Okay. Representative DeSimone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Considering that I have 2 grandchildren who were involved in daycare, I know that in both cases, when one particular child care facility or another was looked into, the statement from the child care was, well, we have somebody who doesn't bring their children any more than 1 or 2 days a week, but they've paid for the full week, so we cannot give you a slot until they no longer pay for that full week. With a scholarship program, the scholarship will pay for the whole week, so you do have children who are in dire need of childcare 3, maybe 4 days a week, and because the scholarship is paying for all those days, the child care facility has no alternative but to keep that slot for the child who's not attending. And that scares me, that the state would be paying for a service that is not being given to a child in need. Thank you.
Representative Altshuler.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to clarify some of my earlier statements. And I want to begin by reiterating what Representative Long said, is that what we are debating right now, we are debating a pilot program. And this pilot program would essentially be running through the summer, which is an incredibly difficult time for families to find childcare because we know, well, school's not in session. Now, we also know, because we heard, and I am going to base all of my statements right now on the actual testimony we heard. I have my own experiences, as does everyone, most of the people here, which brings our biases to the table. But if we look just at the, bless you, at the testimony that we heard from the Bureau of Child Development and Collaboration that the CCDF is underutilized. So the CCDF, the Child Care Development Fund, discretionary funds are being underutilized. And this is a pilot program to see if perhaps the way we approach childcare in the state of New Hampshire could use a tweaking, could use a new method, could use some fresh eyes. And we have CCDF money to allow us the flexibility to look at that. We heard that one of the challenges, we heard this from Early Learning New Hampshire, that they have identified that the challenge for us is that the government recommends enrollment-based versus attendance-based. Typical policy, as was brought into testimony, is if you are enrolled, you pay whether you attend or not. And this program ensures that parents, particularly now, who are struggling with having children in and out of school because of COVID exposures, having COVID exposures themselves, that they get to keep their slot and the child care facility doesn't lose income. That is a bonus. And what we heard is that putting enrollment-based billing in place is a form of primary prevention. And we heard this from Rebecca Witkowski, the policy director at New Futures. And during the pandemic, New Hampshire actually used this model to stabilize our childcare industry. And we heard from childcare providers when that money was being debated that they really, really, really needed the help. So I would urge my colleagues to give this pilot program a chance to use the money that we have been given from ARPA. The American Rescue Plan money has dedicated funds in it for child care and development funds. Like, they are specific to this purpose. We are not pulling money out of general care funds. We are not pulling money away from another program that the state of New Hampshire has already committed to funding. We have the money to do exactly this kind of work. And I would urge us to not make the mistake of leaving federal funds on the table and not use them for the purposes of which they were intended, and give us a chance to get some more hard data. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll have the clerk call the roll.
On SB 144. Representative DeSimone.
On the motion of ITL, I vote yes.
Representative Yokella.
Yes.
Representative Nelson. Representative Belanger.
Yes.
Representative Johnson.
Yes.
Representative McDonald. Representative Smith.
Yes.
Representative Long.
No.
Representative Alice Sayer. Representative Grossman. Representative Levesque. Representative Murray,
No.
Representative Altshuler, Representative Petrino, I'll be voting no. Madam Chair Rice,
Yes.
motion carries 8-7.
Just let me know. All right. You ready? All right. Next, we'll take up SB 457. Representative Belanger, do you have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I move ITL on SB 457.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Seconded by Representative DeSimone. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you. Sorry, I was just trying to refresh my brain as I don't have my typical stuff. So, my issue with this bill was, while I understand full-heartedly that some of these nonprofits might be losing their umbrella policies, and that is unfortunate. And in respect to, actually had a conversation with somebody the other day about this, and that if we lose the ISO foster care providers, it's a problem. But I don't necessarily think this is the best solution. And establishing a commission is just it's just kind of not something I want to do at this time. So that's why I support the ITL motion, and we'll be working with the Department of Insurance to try and see if we can find a solution.
Further discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll have the clerk call the roll.
SB 457, ITL, Representative DeSimone.
On the motion of ITL, I vote yes.
Representative Yokella,
Yes.
Representative Nelson,
Yes.
Representative Belanger,
Yes.
Representative Johnson,
Yes.
Representative MacDonald,
Yes.
Representative Smith, Representative Long,
No.
Representative Alisea,
No.
Representative Grossman,
No.
Representative Levesque,
No.
Representative Murray,
No.
Representative Altshuler,
No.
Representative Petrino. I'll be voting no. Madam Chair Rice,
Yes.
motion carries 8-7.
Representative Long, are you going to do a minority report? You're not? Okay. Can you pass that to Cody? All right, so we have one more, right? 431? Yeah. Okay. Up next is SB 431. Representative Yokella, do you have a motion?
Yes, ought to pass.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Representative DeSimone. Representative Yokella?
Yes, I'd like to move amendment 2022-1465H.
Would you like to speak to your amendment?
Can I
Does
get a
everybody
second first?
have it? I want to make sure everybody has it.
I'll second the motion for an amendment.
And then you can speak to your amendment.
Thank you.
Just let everybody get it first, okay?
So this amendment, so there was a bunch of requirements as far as I don't know why they would be calling.
Representative Long. I'm looking around and I still could have thought I was in heaven.
So a couple of things that changed is that the judge just needs to decide that the use of the formula is in the best interests of the child. And there was also some concern about the language as far as finding out like the extracurricular activities, and whether or not they should be going back to the court to those to kind of get adjustments for those amended optional expenses. And so while the law allows for them to make adjustments as far as because of those because of allocation of daycare, school programs, vacation, and summer care, it's just said that the court should allocate those and not get into or anything else kind of a thing. It was an open-ended statement as far as like what else it could be, like the court could be diving into as far as these additional costs of variable expenses. And so then there was discussion definitely about 1641 or 1647 as far as the increase of available money, which was not in this bill. There was no increase of funds. It was just reallocating the funds. And so on line determined per what the
Heck.
this is not the amendment. I fixed this amendment. I think this is not the amendment that is correct. It should be 1575 or 1575. Well, I have the amendment already. I would just need to print it. And I think I sent it to the whole committee. I just I went upstairs to see if they got printed, and it looks like it didn't. And so I think that's the problem. So what I was speaking to was an amendment that's not here. Like this doesn't increase the funds.
So we're going to take a 15-minute break so you can get copies of the actual amendment.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Canada? No. I'm sorry. You can't get in there, right? So, are they still on COVID lockdown? Yeah. They can come in here, but we can't go in there, is that? They can come in here as long as they're vaccinated, or as long as they can provide proof of, clean bill of health. Yeah. But we can't go there. They have to go through all kinds of tests to show they're vaccinated. Can you meet someone at the border? The guy's being a dumbass. It's not clicking. I hate dumbass. Sorry. He's like, I can't cross the border.
Okay, everybody. Let's bring it back. Bring it back in. Okay. So everyone has the correct amendment. Is it 20221575H? Okay, that's the correct amendment that Representative Yokella will be speaking to.
Ma'am, do we have?
I will withdraw the other motion to adopt the amendment and move 20221578.
I will withdraw my second from the First Amendment, and I will second Amendment 1575H.
Thank you. So what I was trying to get to was on line 26, 27, where the current language does not increase the parental support obligations. And we have heard both from the Carson study and even from the people that made the bill originally that they want that it costs more to have two households. And so what this seeks to do is the Carson study just said 100 multiply by 150%, but I'm just suggesting that we at least go up to 120% of what the current support obligation would be for the additional cost of having two households. And so if so this would be meaning that there's more money for getting attributed to the parental support obligation to support the kids. And that's what line 26 and 27 does as far as that. So that's one thing that was not currently in the bill. And also just, there was, going from only being so what the bill did before was it tied the hands of the judge so that he had to make a whole bunch of findings to be able to make this offset. And so what I'm just saying is that instead of making all of those findings, that he just makes the finding that it's in the best interest of the child. And then on line and then we reiterate that on line 31 and 32 of this amendment, which says if the difference method is not in the best interest of the child, the court may order child support guideline amount or another amount that is in the best interest of the child. So really, we're just getting to what is in the best interest of the child, make that the amount that we need to pay. If the judge finds that, whatever the calculation is, and that language was in the original bill. I didn't make up that language, but I'm just saying what the court needs to say. We took everything into consideration. We said this is in the best interest of the child, and we are suggesting a formula, but we are not holding that court to that formula if it's not in the best interest of the child, is what this bill does. And so that's why I hope you will support this amendment. And so thank you very much.
Further discussion? Representative DeSimone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Yokella and I went over the original bill extensively with the thought of what's in the best interest of the child and how is the child going to monetarily benefit from the original bill and this amendment. The changes that Representative Yokella has made, which represent this amendment, clearly means that in the end, the child reaps the benefit. It takes the child's best interest first and foremost. And that's why I support this amendment.
Representative Altshuler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, right out of the gate, lines in the amendment, lines 31 and 32. Just throws it all out the window. So, if the net difference method is not in the best interest of the child, like the whole point is to set up a formula that will benefit the children or child who is now living in two spaces and living, integrating two parts of their life into a, trying to build healed over a fracture. And we are trying to create a rubric so that the children are centered in this process, not the parents. And we need to leave space for there to be adjustments. And I'm finding this particular amendment hard to follow. I don't understand why the final phrasing essentially negates everything prior to it.
So if I may,
I just-
in the
if you-
original bill,
Yep.
that same exact language is on line 15 and 16 of page 2. That same exact language.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's also after that language, there are a series of considerations that the court can consider. And I'm noticing in Representative Yokella's amendment that in lines 17, 18, and 19, when child support is adjusted, which is a modification from the original bill, the court shall allocate the cost of daycare, after-school programs, vacation, and summer care, unless the parties have agreed to an allocation of these expenses. So what this says to me is that the court is now going to have to get involved with what the actual costs of daycare are in the specific geographical area that these parents live in, and they may not be in the same geographical area. The court is going to have to get involved with, asking for affidavits attesting to what after-school programs there are, how much they cost, how much summer camp costs, and so on and so forth. And what the court is setting up is that, any parent that wants to sign their kid up for an after-school program is going to have to go to court for the permission to, unless it's been previously granted. And then if the money isn't enough, they're going to have to then go back to court for that extra sign-up fee. This changing shall really, really, really put some stringent bumpers on this that it leaves no flexibility for the court whatsoever. And actually, why would the court want to be involved in those kinds of things? Isn't the whole point that we're trying to equalize the child's standard of living so that we don't have to go to court every time we want to sign up for soccer camp, and we don't have to go to court because children are in two different daycares depending on what house they're in? Was that shall intentional, Representative Yokella? I guess that's what my question boils down to.
I'm wondering, are you confused when you read the original bill? Because that language is not changed in my amendment. That language precisely matches page 2, line 3 to 5. That exact wording is in the original bill. So you're saying that the amendment is confusing, and maybe you're also confused about the original bill, and so maybe you don't support the original bill. And so I guess, do you have an amended language that fixes the language on page 2, line 3 to 5 that you had issues with in the original bill?
Well, I appreciate you inquiring into my understanding of the original bill, and I do understand. Thank you. But your shall is after an elimination of almost the entire page 1 of the original bill. So
So I didn't add that language. That language is in the current bill, so I don't understand how that language is confusing now. I guess that is my question. So that language is not changing. So I can't. I didn't write that language. I didn't. So I can't comment on that further.
okay, I'll wait.
Representative Long?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just for clarification, the amendment replaces section 1 through page 2, 7.
Can you give line numbers that you're
Yeah, all of the first page through line 5 on page 2. Through line
So-
5 on page 2.
so the
I have line 5 right
so the amendment replaces section 1 of the bill. So it would replace everything through line 20 all the way from line 1 on the first page to line 20 on the second page, and then line 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 or 25 would all stay the same. And so this would be replace that section 1 of the bill.
So it replaces everything on page 2 to line 20 is what it replaces. And then 21
Right.
through 25 remains the same.
That's what section 1 is, and then 21 starts section 2 of the bill.
Son of a gun. I've been here for 16 years and I didn't realize there was a section 2 or a 1. All right, so I'm correct, right? That 1 replaces through page 2, line 20. This amendment replaces that.
Yes, section 1. Yep.
Okay, so
I mean, I can give you kind of a rundown of which language is in which part on the original bill. I guess if that would help, but if you're trying to,
no, I get it. I'm just trying to look to see what was deleted out of the original.
so 18, 19, and 20 are on the back side of this page. It's the new Roman numeral 7. So 10 is the new Roman 7. Nine is the new Roman 6.
Oh, I think it was 11. Is my understanding that this because I'm just this is going to create right. If we have parents living on unfair playing field, then this is going to in my opinion, but that's where I am with that. And then, like I said, over here, he increased it to 120%. Because the increase in child support. Right? That's my understanding. Okay, Representative Altschiller, you had a question or statement?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. So I want to acknowledge that, yes, the language in lines 31 and 32 of the amendment are in the original bill, which is part 9. And my objection is that the amendment throws out a whole bunch of stuff that we had specifically put in that were specifically there for the best interest of the children. So the phrase doesn't apply in the same way. Let me explain. For instance, in the original bill, on lines 21, 22, and 23, if with an adjustment the lower earning parent is not able to meet the cost of child raising in a similar or approximately equal style to that of the other parent, the court shall order the guideline support amount. That is not reflected in this amendment, and it would seem that while that is to take the adjustment out would be setting up one parent for failure, which is detrimental to the child. And should not we be supporting parents in order to keep the child's best interests front and center? And also, I am still struggling with, and maybe you can help me understand why it was important to remove parts 2, 3, and 4 out of the original bill for the amendment.
Go ahead. I think she was asking.
That was a
Okay.
question.
So there, line 18 to 23 did on the original bill tied the hands of the judges to not just consider the best interest of the child. And so in the example that you were saying on line 21, they are forced to do something which they may determine is not in the best interest of the child. And so what I'm saying is, we need to not tie the hands of the judges, that if they determine that this is in the best interest of the child, then they should be able to empower the judges to say, this is in the best interest of the child, this is the money that I'm going to require, and not go follow these rigid rules that don't allow for flexibility when they are making that judgment. And so I think that both the line 8 to 23 on the original bill, and the requirement that they on line 15, 16, and 17 on page 2 only let them do what is in the best interest of the child in certain cases. And so what I'm saying is, let's let the judges do what's in the best interest of the child in all the cases. That's what I'm trying to do with this amendment. And thank you.
Representative Altschuler.
Thank you. I think I'm beginning to understand. I think I'm beginning to understand some of what you're saying. What I'm struggling with here, if I heard you correctly, on the original bill, lines 17, 18, 19, 20. If I heard you correctly, did you just said that those are not in the best interest of the child? And is that what you just said, that those?
So the language on line 11 is saying it's in the best
Which
interest of
bill?
the child. So it's on the original bill.
Thank you.
On the original bill, it says if it's in the best interest of the child, and then we're going to keep on deciding stuff.
Yeah.
And so if it's in the best interest of the child, but not doing line 12 through 19, then the judge's hands are tied, and they cannot order that judgment, even though they determined on line 11, they said it is in the best interest of the child. And so why are we limiting judges to say no, you have to find it's in the best interest of the child and other things, 5 other things, 7 other things, whether that list be one thing or 100 other things. I don't think that that's that what we need to be focused on is what is in the best interest of the child. If the judge determines that, and we have a bunch of things, both in the parenting plan, that he should be considering when he's considering the best interest of the child, that is, I think we say what is in the best interest of the child, full stop. We don't have additional qualifiers. In some of the cases, maybe those things are part of the best interest of the child, but then it would be covered by that best interest of the child. If it's not, if those things being considered are not in the best interest of the child, then the judge has the flexibility to not consider them. So that is what I'm saying.
So Representative Yokella, along that line, in your amendment, where is the best interest of the child defined?
It's not.
So in the original bill,
They don't define it in there either.
in the original bill, on lines 8 through 13, when we're talking about the adjustment, the court shall be based on the court's the adjustment of support shall be based on written findings by the court or by agreement of the parties that the adjustment is in the best interest of the child, and the adjustment of the income of the lower earning parent enables that parent to meet the costs of child rearing. So it would seem that taking that out removes a standard, a living standard for both houses. If we are, and it seems that with this bill, we're looking to create similar living situations for each child, so that one child would not be either living in poverty or on the brink of poverty, and one child, living extremely comfortably. This amendment that you've brought forward throws that possibility out altogether, and the entire bill is about best interest of the child, but the amendment allows for best interest of the child to be at the judicial discretion of whatever judge is sitting on the bench at that moment. And what we've done in the original bill is to provide some parameters saying that you may, and so please do, you may consider the adequacy of housing accommodations. You may consider access to nutrition. You may consider transportation. If one parent has a car and the other parent does not have reliable transportation, you may consider access to technology. These are all things on line 17 that, if one parent is not able to afford to have a reliable broadband hookup at their house, that severely impacts how that child will be able to access educational materials, particularly if they have to be homesick or if we have another response to a public health crisis. So it doesn't seem like the best interest of the child is being addressed in the amendment so much as the comfort level of the parents. And what we're trying to avoid is setting one parent up for failure.
Representative Belanger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate the representative from Fremont, my neighbor, for bringing forward this amendment. One thing, and it's a common misconception, child support is not supposed to be used to support the other parent. And we see time and time again that it's abused. And I have personal experience of child support being abused. My mother abused the child support from my father. and there were other underlying issues there. But this best interest of the child is not in the previous bill and is not in the amendment. So we're talking about something that's really not relevant. I really think we need to get back to the basics here. One parent should not be supporting two households. The purpose of child support is to support the child, not the other parent. And the premise that child support should be used to support the other child is absolutely ridiculous, and we should move the other parent. Thank you. Sorry. To support the other parent is absolutely ridiculous, and this bill does everything. This amendment, excuse me, does everything that we need to do to support the child and not the other parent. Thank you.
Representative Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we have a child support study going on that'll go through 12/22, I believe. So that'll be forthcoming. With respect to getting rid of other things, well, first of all, I don't see anything in here where we're supporting another parent. That's a misnomer. We get that constantly from people saying that I'm giving a child support check and supporting my wife. And that's not what it is. And to the other things, that's what we constantly hear from parents coming here saying, I can't afford a house because I'm paying too much money. I can't afford a better vehicle because I'm paying too much money. So those are the other things in the original bill that the judges would consider. And I think that would help with the payee coming here stating, I got to eat beans because I can't afford to eat a hamburger. So the judge takes all of that into consideration. So removing these other things, I think hurts with respect to finding the best adaptive spot in both houses for the child. I mean, child support is having a child live into the expectations. So if I make $250,000 a year and my ex-wife makes $40,000 a year, my child's used to living in a certain manner. I'm going to anticipate that I'm going to be paying heavily to keep that child in that adaptive environment. So I personal experience, well, I'm on my third wife, so I guess I'm personal experience with child care too, I think leaving the other things in there, I preferred that much better to have the judge may consider that, because it's, it has effect on a child, if I'm going to my dad's and I gotta sleep on a couch because he's paying my mom too much money, then that ought to be a consideration, so I'm going to oppose this amendment.
Any further discussion? Representative Altschiller. Turn it on. You had it on.
That's
You shut it
there.
off.
Okay, there we are. So to be clear, and I just in case there was any confusion, there is absolutely no intention on my part in making any kind of a case that child support is for the benefit of the parents. Child support is for the benefit of the children. And as we put in statute, that we are, the court is bound to considering when the court shall determine how to optimize use of the parents' combined incomes to arrive at the best possible outcome for the child or children. provided that the basic support needs of the child or children are met. So that is exactly what we are talking about right here. And in doing so, it's important to recognize that those children are under the care and the custody of their parents, which is where they should be. And we want to support that as much as possible. And that setting up one of the parents for failure through legal barriers is antithetic to what we want to do to support children. So I think that this amendment actually does some damage to the original bill, which we had worked so very diligently on, and it takes out costs of child rearing in similar or appropriately equal styles. So, which speaks to what Representative Long was saying, and my own personal experiences with child support notwithstanding, we know that in the state of New Hampshire, we have children who are living in poverty because they are in homes that have experienced domestic violence and experienced financial abuse. And this committee has heard a number of testimonies to those exact situations. And Senate Bill 431, as amended, keeps the children's interests in the forefront. And I believe that the amendment 1575 actually dials back what is in the best interest of the children. And I urge my colleagues to not support Amendment 1575 and support Senate Bill 431 as amended by the Senate.
Representative Yokella.
Thank you. So I wanted to just think about a couple of examples. One might be that the parent A has makes $250,000 a year, and the parent B makes $100,000 a year. So there's no there in those examples. They may not be struggling to provide a household for the child, but maybe. And so they would not qualify under lines 12 and 13. However, maybe there are medical bills or some other reason that it is in the best interest of the child that this formula be used, but that under the unamended language that would not be allowed to be taken, not be allowed to be done because it did not fall under both situations. And so I see where the opposition is coming from, but I think that it's a misunderstanding, and that it is, in fact, there are other reasons other than just equalizing the households that should come into consideration, and actually the governing thing should just be the best interest of the child. And there's nothing in the language as written that forbids the judge from considering everything from line 12 to 23 of the original bill. That can be also assumed under the best interest of the child if the court believes that that is something that they could consider for the best interest of the child. Thank you.
Representative Altschiller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For clarification, the original bill does cover health care coverage costs on page 2, line 1. And what we have learned from the testimony, particularly from New Hampshire Legal Assistance that we heard on April 12th, that the enumerations, excuse me, the enumerations of that which may be considered, but not limited to those variables that are outlined on the original bill as amended by the Senate on lines 28, 29 and of page 1 and lines 1 and 2 of page 2, give the examples for the courts, because the courts have had difficulty, which is why we're here, in determining what those things are. So we are actually putting into place that which is asked for. So again, healthcare costs right there in the original bill, not in the amendment. Also, uninsured healthcare costs and other child-related expenses. So putting one child in a babysitting or daycare situation while attending to the medical needs of another child who may be hospitalized. That's all covered here in the first bill as amended by the Senate and is left out in the amendment.
Representative Yokela, are we going to debate all day, or are we
Just until
coming to
noon,
the
I think
end?
that I felt like that was a good stopping point. No, I think that when when in my example, I disagree with the representative as far as them being able to consider that thing, because they would have to stop at line 12 of the amendment, because if it did not meet those qualifications, they would not be able to get into any other adjustments. The adjustment has to meet the first two requirements, and then the judge's hands are tied. And so I actually argue that that is in fact not the case, that they would be able to deal with any adjustments on page 2, line 1, because that would be part of an adjustment, assuming that they had already ruled on the previous stuff that was required under lines 8 through 23. So in fact, I completely disagree that they would be able to make that adjustment. So thank you very much.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll have the clerk call the roll.
We're voting on, ought to pass on the amendment 1575. Representative DeSimone,
Yes.
Representative Yokela,
Yes.
Representative Nelson,
Yes.
Representative Belanger,
Yes.
Representative Johnson,
Yes.
Representative MacDonald,
Yes.
Representative Smith, Representative Long,
No.
Representative Alessea,
No.
Representative Grossman,
No.
Representative Levesque,
No.
Representative Murray,
No.
Representative Altshuler,
Nope.
Representative Petrino. I will be voting no. Madam Chair Rice.
Yep.
The amendment passes 8-7.
Representative Yokela, do you now have a motion?
Yes, I move ought to pass as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, I'll have the clerk call the roll.
Voting ought to pass as amended. Representative DeSimone,
Yes.
Representative Yokela,
Yes.
Representative Nelson,
Yes.
Representative Belanger,
Yes.
Representative Johnson,
Yes.
Representative MacDonald,
Yes.
Representative Smith, Representative Long,
No.
Representative Alessea,
No.
Representative Grossman,
No.
Representative Levesque,
No.
Representative Murray,
No.
Representative Altshuler,
No.
Representative Petrino votes no. Madam Chair Rice
Yes.
votes yes. Motion ought to pass as amended, carries 8-7.
Someone's doing a minority report, right? Can you pass that down? Can we make sure I get those by the end of the day? And that's it for today. Thanks, everybody.
Yep, we're done with the committee. Well, I can keep mine because I'm never coming back. Ever. That's so now I made $88.22. Never, ever, ever. Can't say that.
throw all these in the garbage. If I just threw all these in the garbage, would that make it? Oh, it's Betty. Huh? Betty. Oh. In a package. Oh my God. Oh my God, that would be. Peace out. I'm out of here. Peace out. Peace out. I'm keeping these two. That's going out like a rock star. I am. Don't call me. I'll call you.
See you Thursday.
I'll be here tomorrow. Wait a minute, don't we have sessions? Oh no, it's Thursday. Oh, we have a free day. Oh God. Sure. Oh my God. Oh no, 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 well. Hello. Hello. My grandson. College
I
jacket.
saw it was so cute. Morehouse.
Because I couldn't find anything with the hood that like was black. And I got tired of looking. Oops.